Hi, folks. Welcome to Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark. I'm your co host, Mark. This is your co host, Harry.
Hello.
We're two idiots who love to talk about things we have no idea what we're talking about. On the show, Gore Vidal. No, just kidding. He would never come on this show. We're two idiots. We don't know what we're talking about. By the way,
Sure.
Gore Vidal's dead, so joke's on us.
Mm.
Gore Vidal, Harry, if you didn't know, I'm gonna piss on his grave. Is the
Oh.
actor from Gattaca and nothing else.
Oof.
No other notable contributions. No other, political commentaries. No movies about sexual liberation. Nothing.
Mm. Damn.
Nothing.
Gattaca was a good movie.
Gattaca was a great goddamn movie.
Mm-hmm.
It spawned the weird relationship of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. And from
Oh.
that relationship, we got Maya Hawke, who I will fan cast in a possible Kill Bill Volume 3.
Oh.
Hashtag last Tarantino movie should be Kill Bill Volume 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, anyway,
Yes.
Harry,
Hmm.
how was your week?
My week was a typical week. Nothing much happened.
Mhm.
Went to work. Uh. Yeah. Nothing. Oh, I stand corrected. I got a platinum this week.
Ooh, what'd you get a platinum in?
I got a platinum in the Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood game for the PS4. So I,
Nice.
I had every single trophy except for one, and I was kind of like, oh, I'll go back to it at some point. And this was like a year ago, and I finally got back to it. I was like, hey, go get that trophy. It took me about like half an hour, maybe at most, but yeah, it was cool. Thank
Congratulations.
you. It was platinum number 30. And like,
30
I'll tell you,
platinums?
yeah, third.
30?
Yeah, I
It
should
ain't much, but it's good living.
it, I should have more, but I like leave off games, and I'm like, oh, I'll come back to them, or I think I don't know if I was telling you or someone else, where I was like, I have a lot of games that are like almost platinum. I have like maybe like 5 to 10.
You're on the cusp.
Yeah, I'm on the cusp, but then like they're from like my PS3 days, and I'm like never gonna touch them. Like for example, Dead Space 2 was one of them. Borderlands, and some other
I
ones that
could
are like,
see you playing Dead Space.
yeah, like I platinum the first Dead Space on the PS3, and then
Hmm.
I had Dead Space 2, and I never I beat the game, right, and I got a lot of trophies for it, but I never went back and platinumed it. I don't remember why. I think I might have been borrowing the game and I had to return it. And I was just like, I don't want to, you know. Same thing
Right.
with do you remember the Infamous series?
Yeah, of course. Fun little
So,
superhero comics.
yeah, so I beat the first game. And then the second game I I'm like again like around 5 or 6 platinums away from platinuming it, and I never went back and played. I think that one also I was borrowing, and I felt bad holding it for too long, and um because like at that time I was either playing a lot of multiplayer and I wasn't playing a lot of single player games, or I was getting my computer and I just stopped playing the PlayStation for a while, so I just wasn't playing as much games to platinum.
Yeah.
um but I'm giving right now. I have this like um what is it called? It's like a I really don't know what to call it. It's like not a schedule, but this routine. There you
Yeah.
go. I figured it
Cat
out.
in your routine.
I got a routine of like on my actual days off, right? On my days off of work, I don't do anything not computer really, but like I don't really edit. I don't do like play anything on the computer. Like I really just focus on um playing the PlayStation on my days
Yeah.
off, and then throughout the week, I do the edit the podcast, upload stuff, and all this other stuff. Like upload like so it takes to
Free
upload our
manual labor. Yeah.
yeah to upload our content. onto the channel, I think it's about like 2 to 4 hours, depending on how long we've played.
Oh my God, but
Yeah.
Jesus, I should help you out with that.
No, it's fine because it's just in the background. It doesn't really. I just kind of put upload and I walk away. There's no real editing to the gameplay we're posting, so it's not an issue. But it's like, so that's kind of what I do on my days off because it's like the computer's just kind of running in the background. I'm not doing anything. Um, so I do that, and then and then throughout the week I edit it and then post it on my channel if I have the time. Um, but what I do is like at work or when I have free time, like if I'm somewhere where I'm not really doing anything and it's like the week and I'm kind of like I have nothing to do but my phone's here. I kind of it's been helping uploading our gameplay because what I do is I watch it, while I'm out, and I kind of like write down what I want to edit at what time periods and stuff like that. So routine.
Speaking of which, folks, if anyone has not seen some of his latest videos, his editing is getting much better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's got a couple really good videos of the group playing Divinity 2.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the good little bits of us just playing and having a good time. But if you also like to catch his larger videos, by all means, got great content on there. So hop on, guy named Harry, and hitting the mark with Harry and Mark.
Why, thank you.
Gonna plug you in there.
um so yeah, I kind of got a routine going, which is nice. I'm glad I got it down because it was at first I was kind of like, how much time, when can I play, blah, blah, blah. But I got
Yeah.
it down. But yeah, man, week is just again same old, and but I got a platinum, and I'm close to getting another one on Darksiders 2. The last thing I gotta do is I gotta do this thing where you just fight waves of enemies, and you gotta do 100 of them straight, um, which sucks, but you know, it it's for the trophy, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
so and that's about it. That's the last trophy I gotta get. So I gotta like just sit down and just grind through 100 waves of enemies.
Ugh.
Um, yeah, but my character, I believe my character's strong enough to do it. And I lowered the difficulty to like very easy, so I'm sure I'll be fine. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'm kind of I'm not overpowered. No, I'm not overpowered. I don't know what overpowered is in the game. I haven't played it a lot. I'm doing
Whatever it is, you are it.
yeah, I hope so, right? um yeah. But yeah, that's been my week. How about yours? How has your week been?
Mine has been fine. I've been waiting to talk about the Suicide Squad with you. I've
Mm.
also been waiting to talk about What If with you.
I'm
I
gonna add that on the agenda because we totally forgot to write it down.
know, I know. I'm sitting here with a shit-eating grin on my face. It's been good. I've been. Oh, you know what? Hold on.
Oh.
Happiness and then tragedy struck me at the same time.
Oh no, what happened?
So I realized
Mm-hmm.
that instead of going broke and eating air
Mm-hmm.
for like a month after buying a PlayStation 5 so that I could play Deathloop,
Mm-hmm.
I can just play it on Steam.
Yay.
God damn it. I was sitting here and I was doing my expenses. I put
Yeah.
away fucking a couple bucks for the guy who bought me this gaming laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Um I put a couple bucks away each paycheck, right? And I'm
Okay.
thinking to myself, if I just reach for that envelope, buy a PlayStation, I can resume paying him, I swear. And then I was like,
Wait a minute.
wait. And I paused. I was just sitting there, just in the thinker's pose for like 10 minutes before my shaking right hand grabbed the laptop and I went on Steam and I was like, holy fucking ass. I could just play it on Steam. So I'm going to
Yeah.
do that. So that's a couple bucks that I'm more than willing to spend. So I'm interested in that now. So I feel like a great preparative weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
That's awesome.
But
But
but I was bored yesterday before I played with you. Not bored. After. Never mind. After. Ladies and gentlemen, for some fucking rude reason, he has to work today on Saturdays. So
mm-hmm.
when he plays with us on Fridays, he has to leave early. They left early yesterday, and I was left to just, fucking my own machinations. God, bastard. Anyway,
Scary.
um, I wanted to play Fallout. I was fiddling with System Shock for a moment, and I was like, you know what? I don't know why I'm putting off just playing a different game
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I can't do that with books, but I'll just fucking do that with video games, right?
Yeah.
So I'm playing, or I'm getting ready to play Fallout, and it won't play,
Oh.
and I'm like, oh fuck. So I keep uninstalling and reinstalling, and I'm like, oh shit, it's not working. So I uninstall Steam. And
Oh.
here's where the problem comes in.
Oh no.
I uninstall it. So keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, and NBs in between, I am not a computer person. By like the standards of like boomers, I might as well be fucking Hacker Man, right? From fucking Kung Fury.
Mm-hmm.
But in truth, I really have a hard time knowing what I'm doing. When it's like the systems beneath the main screen, I'm like a kid in a fucking encyclopedia library. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I uninstalled Steam, right?
Yeah.
And uh I tried reinstalling it and it said nope, can't do that because you need to empty the file that it belongs to. So I went to the file and I tried deleting it. They're like, nope, can't do that. I'm like, oh fuck, what am I doing wrong? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go onto a video and they're like, oh, you have to do this and this. And I'm like, for the first fucking time, this video actually lied to me because I did that and it did the exact same thing that I had been doing before.
Right.
So because I didn't really have much content on there, I just factory reset my laptop.
Okay.
Sad story, but nonetheless, semi happy ending. I started playing Fallout this morning and it's
That's great.
actually kind of fun.
It's awesome.
The fucking the overseer in this vault looks like a fucking Cro-Magnon, like the worst haircut, the worst beard. I'm running a very talkative, lockpicky character. I
Okay.
took what is it? Gifted. So it gives
Mm.
all of my my special plus ones. So I'm like +7, +8, +8 is like I think 8 or 10 is like one of the highest you can get to. So I'm like +7, +8, +8, +8, plus like 6. Like the lowest I have is a 6, which
Okay.
doesn't mean much, but apparently it's a pretty large number. Um, and my luck is high too. I'm one lucky son of a bitch. But anyway, I'm
Nice.
playing it. I'm getting used to some of the visuals again too. Um, I remember an old friend of mine who was a computer person,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know, he was a babysitter or something, playing that. And whenever I'd see it, I'm like, oh, that game looks so stupid. And I'm the stupid one because now I'm like, oh shit, yeah, now this is a cool fucking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You're thrown in this story almost immediately. The overseer's like the water valve thing has gone out. We're looking for a water chip. You need to get us a new one. We've got like 100 something days before we're all dead. Go, and that's it. You go. the, the first guy apparently they sent out there
Mm-hmm.
just dies right at the foot of the fucking vault door.
Oh wow.
So the fact that I get like a couple paces past him is probably says a lot. So it's fun. I'm playing it so far. I haven't gotten too far. I went back into the vault just to explore a bit.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting. It feels far more, I think, stat based.
Oh.
So there's a lot of electronic stuff where it's like you don't have anything near science skill to operate this. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing where it goes because apparently it's a quite a as H bomb guy and or H bomber guy and a couple other videos I've ever watched too talk about. It's like it's more in the veins of like a real role play game, and I actually really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing where that goes. Um, I found that I have a slight addiction to Destiny, not the Twitch personality. Um, the video game, Destiny 2. I've been
Mm.
playing it with our co-host Harry a couple
Yes,
times
we
when we can't
have.
play with one of our other players. It's a very fun game. And as I've mentioned before on here, I actually really enjoy Destiny's art design and its story.
Yeah.
Maybe not the narratives that they pose, but the overall branching story. Like, oh hey, this this being from another part of the galaxy or from another galaxy comes, gives us technology, and we have like a renaissance, and then we have a cataclysm, and we have to kind of pick up the pieces. And I like that we're in the future, everything's kind of high tech, but it feels more like in the vein of like knights and samurai and all that kind of like it feels very medieval but medieval in the future, like very uh science fantasy in that way.
Mm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
like it. I really enjoy that kind of swashbuckling like freedom that you feel from being a guardian defending, defending the last vestiges of humanity underneath the Traveler, and you get to go to all these wonderful places that aren't constrained by like hard science fiction
Yeah.
or like what is it, the Dust Palace or the Vault of Glass. Like none of that shit sounds cool, but you go there. Well, no, fuck that. Dust Palace sounds fucking great. Vault of Glass sounds great. Like the Cathedral of Crota. Like the idea is that you can just name shit and just
Yeah.
pack it with all cool badassery stuff. Like say what you will like about Bungie just making Halo and they kind of just fucked off to do something else. But Destiny has this really, really fun way of empowering players and just making them feel like fucking badasses in a
Yeah.
way that modern looter shooters I don't think really do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, this I still have the same issues with like exclusivity of armors and trinkets and whatnot, but
Right.
I really do enjoy that like this is personal to you. Like you're a badass. You can aspire to be that fucking badass too. The only problem is it's like there's so much shit that if you're just a random player, like the two of us are, we're just doing our thing, and then there's some dude in some like phoenix crusted armor, and he's just like, oh, you gotta go do this and this and this, and you're just like, oh, cool, okay,
Or they go
just
in and just murder everything. You're just like, oh,
yeah.
okay,
So
that's
it's
fun.
it's really fun, but I get the impression that like I'm not good at it at all. By the way, like
Neither am I.
playing Left 4 Dead on computer and playing computer games is something that I'm getting more comfortable with playing. But I
Yeah.
noticed that like System Shock 2 doesn't require you to aim down sights, and the
Mm-hmm.
moment I had to like move while aiming down sights, I knew I was in for a problem because like being evasive and then having to sprint by pressing the shift button
Mm-hmm.
and then continually pressing on the WASD like keys is
Yeah.
just like a nightmare. I don't understand how people can do that portion. I was jokingly saying to you, man, if there's only some way I could use the controller for movement and then the mouse for firing,
Yeah.
that I think would be the perfect combination on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to invent a two-piece controller where the firing and aiming system is like a mouse,
Mm-hmm.
and then the movement has like hotkeys on it for your
So you could do that. I just thought about it. Right? I don't know why I didn't think about it last night when we were playing. Uh, there you can get a mouse that has buttons on the sides.
Thinking that too, a little mouse with hotkeys. I might
Yeah.
want to do that.
Our friend Michael has something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So people who play RTSs use that a lot because they
You
can't
can
really.
hotkey. Yeah.
You can hotkey things, and then you want your fingers to only move a certain amount because real time strategy, right? So
Hmm.
you can definitely do that if you want. I totally completely forgot. A lot of professional like Call of Duty players who play on PC do the same thing where they
Because we
have like
both know, like, I'm a professional Call of Duty player.
yeah.
Thank you
Uh,
for that.
but yeah, they use the buttons for like specifically uh like aiming wise, like pointing things out, grenades. You know how like you grenade with like what was it Q in Destiny? So you can put like the grenade button on your mouse so you don't have to press Q
Yeah,
anymore.
I, I have like the
Yeah.
hardest. I don't know, like I know it's something I gotta work past, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
panic and I'll try pressing like
A button.
G,
Yeah.
and that's my super ability, but C is the melee ability,
Yeah.
and I'm just like and then I'll try pressing Q for the grenade, and I'll press tab, and I'll just get fucking murdered. Like half the
Yeah.
time I get fucking murdered is because of that specific reason, where it's
Yeah.
like my fucking pinky is going to the wrong button. And I know it's, again, stuff that just has to get trained out of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
I'll say that Destiny 2 was my first like that I got heavily invested first person shooter on the computer.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like
So
you're hearing me fucking talk, like I'm already sounding like I'm in it. I'm in
yeah.
it. I'm
It's
in there.
I mean, what helps is that it's free to play, right?
Oh,
Fucking great.
absolutely.
Two, it's visually beautiful. Um, and it is the creators from fucking Halo. Like they know what they're doing, right? like,
They really
um,
know how to
yeah,
like give you a sense of
like
badassery.
yeah, I'll say this that like it sucks to see a game like Destiny that could have been Halo. You know what I mean? Like something like you can easily like I've talked on the podcast before where I'm like, dude, Halo should have a BR. I think a Halo BR would be fucking amazing. Not maybe a lot of people wouldn't like it, but I think it'd be fucking dope as shit.
I'd
Same thing
enjoy
with like
something like that.
same thing like because Halo's now doing something like what they're doing here, or what Destiny's doing, where it's like an MMO kind of thing. Like, but it's like they already had the idea, and I'm sure Microsoft or whoever was above them was like, no, 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 we just need another Halo. We need more money. They're like, all right, we're gonna take this great idea of like a
Yeah.
loot system and shit, and we're gonna go elsewhere, and we're gonna make this game. you know,
On a
and it's
side note,
mhm.
I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but just because I've bitched about Halo 4 and 5 does not mean that I necessarily think Halo Infinite's art style is a good idea.
Mhm.
Like, what went through my mind the first time, I'm going off on a small tangent, and I'll
It's
go
fine.
right
Go
back.
for it.
When I realized they were going back to uh, the the Bungie art style,
Yeah.
keep in mind, I love the Bungie art style.
Mm-hmm.
It's straightforward. It's simple. It doesn't require a lot of moving parts. Um, and we all know my apprehension with the new Halo like art
Mm-hmm.
style. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It took me a while because my teenager brain didn't care for it, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I thought the moment I realized that they got one of the original art directors or one of the art directors to copy the original look, I thought, I'm not gonna lie, cop out.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'll like it. It's Halo. I like Halo. Um, but I immediately thought to myself, this is a cop out. Like, it's disappointing that they don't get me wrong. They can do whatever the fuck they want with their IP. It's Halo. They own it. They
Right.
can do whatever they want. Or Microsoft owns it. I don't fucking know. They can do whatever art style they want, and I would probably still play it. I'm just disappointed that it felt more like a marketing tactic to make the game seem more like the original Halos instead of just being like, hey, look, we'll try to make we'll try to capture the overall feel through gameplay and visuals of the original Halos,
Mm-hmm.
which I think the newer 4 and 5 didn't quite have. That sense of scale, bombacity, um, you know, insignificance sometimes for the player. Uh, but I don't think going all the way back to the original Halo art style is it's not bad, but I'm not saying it's something that I was the most jazzed about. It again, it felt like a bit of a cop out. It felt like,
Yeah.
oh hey, like wow, this idea sucked. Let's just go back to what we initially did, and let's just fucking throw the original
Mhm.
or throw 4 and 5's art directors under the bus.
Right.
But anyway, back to Destiny. Yes, I am disappointed that it didn't turn out that exact same way either.
Yeah. But it's also not because it has a PvE uh system, like it's not all PvP.
Mhm.
Um it helps with learning how to shoot with a keyboard and or to move around with keyboard and mouse, right? Because you can just go on a strike or just go on a planet and just start shooting things, and you know what I mean, like you'll just get accustomed to shooting things,
Mhm.
which is great. Where like if you go straight into Call of Duty, you're gonna be dying fucking all the, you're not gonna be
Oh
able to
yeah.
do anything because it's like it's heavily PvP and you just can't do anything, right?
Mhm.
And then games like, for example, like Left 4 Dead, um and even Back for Blood, like, yeah, like you kind of aim, but at the same time, like there's so much stuff that you're
Mhm.
not really aiming. You're just like, I'm gonna shoot this way because there's zombies over there. You know what I mean? Like you're not
Yeah, you're
trying to
basically
be
just pulling the
precise.
trigger and then swinging the mouse or controller wildly in one direction.
Exactly.
But
And
I
that's
think for a good portion of Destiny, like you need to have a bit of precision.
yes. Because again, like bosses and even regular enemies, like they have critical, spots. The headshot or the Vex in the chest, and then bosses have specific areas where you got to shoot. So it's like you need to be a little more precise than just kind of going around and shooting whatever. And the
Oh
same
yeah.
thing, and you can't, like, obviously you have rocket launchers or like big damage guns, but like you have limited ammo on them because they're like heavy weapons. So you're limited to how much you can shoot that. So if you miss too many of those shots, you're gonna run out, and then you're back to your primary, which whatever it is, like you have to be a little more accurate because it does less damage, right? So
Yeah.
it's actually a really good game to get into to get your, at least just to get used to movement. I think just also figuring out like remapping buttons to your liking. Like I think
That's way too like complex for Destiny. Like I mean I could do
yeah.
it, but I whenever I go to the button mapping option, I'm
Hmm.
always like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking things happening. But I guess it's just to your like, cuz like for example, you know how Eved and I switched things on Back for Blood cuz we're
Yes.
used to certain things, cuz and that's once you get used to either a game or like a certain button doing a certain thing, like melee, right? Like melee has to be a certain button, or grenade needs to be a certain button. Once you get used to that, you can kind of remap other games, right? You
Oh
kind of say,
yeah.
okay, let's look at what the controllers are. Okay, I don't like grenade being there, or I don't like this being there, and you just kind of shift it. So I think Destiny 2 is a good game because, again, the big aspect is the PVE, because you can just go in, do
Yeah.
the strike or whatever, and you can just kind of go off to the side and hide and just go into your menu, do your thing, and your friends are fighting enemies and stuff, and like, so like, hey, I gotta remap something. Like, okay, it is what it is. We're there's no time, right? Like you're not being pressured into like, hey, like we're getting fucking destroyed over here, kind of
Wait,
thing.
just get over here.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah.
So I think Destiny 2 is really good when it comes to that. And I didn't really think about it that way, but like if someone were to get into a PC and want to play a first person shooter that doesn't cost you any money, like, and it's just a good game overall, and all those benefits that I just said about, it's like, yeah, Destiny 2 is really really good. And I think it's like, I know I'm saying it's free to play, and that's like a really good incentive. Like it really is a good incentive because there's a lot of games that are not fucking cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can get, you know, maybe like Modern Warfare 2 or Call of Duty 4 for hella cheap. Maybe they might still be costing like $20. Um, but at the same time, like who's playing that, right? Super competitive people.
12-year
And
olds.
yeah, and who's, and again, like the thing that I said earlier, it's like that's super competitive. So it's like, what, like, you want something to be more casual, you know, it's where you can be precise and stuff like that.
And
Like,
Destiny is designed to be a like they're going with the share your like legend with
mm-hmm,
other people thing, and to do that it's like the brotherhood of fighting together and forged in steel, and instead of the entirety of Destiny's like service being
mm-hmm,
just multiplayer.
mm-hmm. Sorry, drinking some water.
It's
No, yeah,
okay.
totally agreed.
Good
Totally agreed.
boy.
But yeah, I'm glad that you're getting into it, man. I really am. It was a game, like I said before, that I was playing for a while. And we just kind of stopped. I forgot why we stopped. I think we just stopped. The
Because it's
group just kind of
addictive.
stopped me. Yeah. We
Just
stopped, and
fucking
then
say it. It's addictive. God damn it.
but it's a game that I've been wanting to go back to.
Yeah.
It's just
It's a solid title. It's a fun title, especially when you're playing with people.
yes, 100%. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you're liking it.
Set me down a very dangerous path.
Sorry. And the cool thing, it's cross save. So if you're like, I don't want to play on my um
I'll just play
PC
on
today.
my Smegs box.
Exactly. And soon, I think next season, so next month, it's gonna be cross platform. So if you want to play on your Xbox, you can, and I can play on the PC. So if you want to play with a controller, you definitely can.
I'm still mad that they blew up Mars.
Yeah, I don't. That happened within this past year because the last I remember Mars was there when you're like, "What happened to Mars?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, what happened to Mars?"
I am emotionally scarred from the loss of Mars.
Yeah, and that, uh, correct me if I'm wrong. That is heavily Cabal, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I remember about it.
Arrival of the pyramid shortly after this disappear. I don't fucking know. Never mind. But yeah, fucking apparently it's gone. I'm
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah. I that's one thing about about Destiny. I definitely have not followed the lore. Uh, even when I
The
played it.
lore is so fucking vast.
Yeah,
It's
like,
insane.
I know like there's little things here and there throughout um the world that you like scan, and it like gives you little tidbits of the lore of the
Mhm.
world and stuff like that, and it's cool. And actually, it you can see what you've picked up on what worlds uh on your little, like, I'll show you next time. Oh, we do, after the podcast we need to hop on for a second. There's I don't know if he was in the first one, but Zur.
Yeah, of
uh
course. Everyone's
yeah,
favorite black market dealer.
exactly. He Every weekend he's in a random location. You can just look it up on the internet and they'll tell you where he's at. And you go and he sells exotics. I think you can get one free exotic, and then you can buy specific exotics from him uh
Ooh.
every week. So, and he's
Oh my god, you're so exotic. Where are you
exactly.
from? Indonesia?
Let's
Haiti?
see. So today, oh wow, they're not August 2020. Yeah, oh, let's see. He is located, oh, in the tower. Look at that.
Well, we're gonna fucking find him.
Yeah, he's in the. You can find Zur in the tower in the hangar, standing on the back steps.
We're
So
gonna
that'll be
beat the
easy.
shit out of him.
Yeah. Uh, So we'll do that after the podcast for sure. And then Michael was telling me about a sword that Banshee's selling. So I'm gonna swing by and check
Ooh.
that out.
Yeah, he's
Specifically for
doing something
Hunter.
interesting with armor synthesizers or something.
What is that?
I have no idea. That's what I was talking to you
Oh,
about.
okay, yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right. Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. But yeah, Destiny. It's. I think it's gonna be the new Warzone for us.
God damn.
It is.
All right,
You know what's
nice.
funny? I
That'll be fun.
I gotta subscribe to all the people I used to watch back in the day, um, with all the Destiny information.
I
I'm
remember
far
like
behind.
in 2013, 14, early 2014,
Mm-hmm.
when there was that one guy doing all of the fucking Destiny 1 news. I think his name was More Console. I don't fucking
Oh.
know. But like that dude went from like no followers to like a shitload once it came out. That was so fucking, I don't know, just a bunch of like young person following games
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. Anyway, so
Oh,
that's
another.
my week.
Oh, that's good.
I'm
I'm
addicted to
glad you're.
games and I had to essentially wipe the memory of my computer so that I could hide her from all the terrible things she's seen.
Uh,
So anyway,
side side note. I still see physical discs of Destiny 2 being sold.
really,
Yeah. So if you want a physical copy of Destiny 2, you can purchase it where or you can just get it for free on the online market.
my
So,
local half price has a Destiny 1 game for sale, I think. I
yeah.
haven't
And
checked.
I that's where I've seen it there and I forgot where else where they're selling the Destiny 2 disc. I'm just like that is what? Like
That's
you can get it for
2.
free.
I
But
know.
it's just fun. And then so just continuing the gaming uh topics, I want to bring up Quake. So they're remastering Quake. Um
Along that kind of franchise or genre games that defined an era of first person shooters.
yeah. So I thought they're going to like remaster it in the sense of like fucking top of the line graphics, stuff like that. I was like, "Oh shit." Like when I saw that I was like I just thought like that fucking scene, the that where professionals played Quake, right? Like I still remember seeing that shit on fucking G4. And I was like,
Oh,
dude, that's
right.
fucking dope. Like I'm like I would
Oh,
love to
Arena.
Oh, it was Arena. No. Yes.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Arena.
Yeah. So,
Next time on Arena. And they
yes.
would play Call of Duty or Medal of
Different,
Honor,
yeah,
and they would do
different
Unreal
ones.
Tournament.
So like I remember I was like, dude, that's gonna be dope. Like, it's gonna get some form of following, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then I saw the trailer for it, and it's not brand new graphics. They just are making the original, but like
With
now
updated, yeah, with some updated stuff.
some updated stuff, but it's still like the original. I'm kind of like, I'm not as attracted
Oh,
to it anymore. But if like you're an old school gamer and you see that, I don't know. Like I feel like if you grew up playing Quake, you would be hella stoked for this, right?
hmm.
Like it still looks the same. I'm sure it still plays the same, and it's just modern, right? And
Hmm.
I'm sure, like, I don't see why no, but it's kind of like for me with the Diablo 2 Resurrected. Like, it's basically the same goddamn game, but it looks nicer, right? And I'm just like, I'm hell buying it. Like, I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
really, I didn't think about it. I was like, I'm buying that shit. I'm gonna play the shit out of it. Even though I already owned Diablo 2 and I played it like not too long ago, all the way through. I'm gonna buy Resurrected. Like, so I'm like thinking
Hmm.
about like I'm sure it's gonna like get a following and it's gonna become a thing, when it comes out.
You want to know? I've never played any of the Quake games.
Me neither. I just remember seeing them.
Like I remember Quake Wars and like all that other shit that came out in the early aughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Quake is a very has a high pedigree in gaming. Like it's there with Doom in the first person category
Yeah.
and all that. Just kind of like with that entire breed of games, like Wolfenstein, Dune, Quake,
Yeah.
a bit of Turok, Unreal Tournament.
Yes.
So I'm interested. I'm actually willing to play it. It's just again the fact that I came into that genre of games pretty late.
Yeah. Same here. Like, like, like I consider like me when I think of like a PC shooter. My first thought always goes to Counter Strike. Like,
Okay.
I had a bunch of friends
Oh
playing Counter Strike,
yeah.
years ago. Because my first person shooter, like multiplayer first person shooter, was Call of Duty. Call of Duty 4. That was my thing.
Hmm.
So I had a bunch of friends who were already on the PC, and they're like, like, dude, like you're playing
Let's
Counter
do it.
Strike, and I'm like, what Counter Strike? What is that? you know, like So it's like, yeah, like when I think of a PC shooter, I think of Counter Strike. And I didn't grow up
Okay.
with any of that. Like you said, Quake, Unreal Tournament, all that stuff. Like I didn't grow up with any of that. I played RPGs growing up, right?
I
Uh,
think I was just used to that because a lot of Unreal Tournament was just the thing, right? Whenever you saw
mm,
like a tech demo, it was always like in the vein of Doom, Quake, or Unreal
Unreal
Tournament, where it
Tournament.
was like
Yeah,
this
you're right.
fast-paced, high-jumping, cool
Mm-hmm.
guns, bloody like
Yeah.
extravaganza, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mind going back and experiencing Quake. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
already doing System Shock 2.
Yeah. And
Apparently
Fallout.
System Shock, yes, and Fallout. And System Shock 1 was actually more in the vein of games like Quake, Doom,
Okay.
very like more shooter focused, more of that kind of uh wacky hijinks kind of shooter.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to bring it up.
Yeah,
That's it
I'm
for
it's interesting.
Yeah. Except for our gaming topics, unfortunately. We didn't do a lot of research. We just kind of go in the limb. So, or on a limb, in the limb,
It's all right. We're making good content so far.
whatever that phrase is.
We're on our
We're
limbs.
we're on our limbs. Um, let's talk about what if. So I missed this past.
You're a
Did I miss
shit.
it?
You're an
I missed
absolute
this past
shit.
one. You can go and talk about it. I'm gonna just watch it anyways. But
Hmm.
let's talk about the previous one.
Okay.
That I missed also before last week. But I actually watched already.
Captain Carter.
Captain Carter. Yes.
Captain Carter's fun. I like it. I like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think there's something about the first Avenger
Mm-hmm.
that didn't quite like grab me, but I really think that Captain Carter kind of encapsulated all of the things that I like about the uh the pulpy 1940s anti like German occult kind of movies, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I know it's mainly because it's in animation, but I
Yeah.
do think it encapsulates some of that a lot more, a lot better, I think,
Mm-hmm.
than the first Avenger. Um, I'll be honest, I do like the first Avenger a lot. I like the first half of it, but when it becomes the Red Skull versus Cap bit, I just don't care for it as much. I preferred Steve Rogers' story and
Yeah.
the deconstruction of like who he is and like what it means for him to be a superhero and anyway, um I really enjoy Peggy Carter. I really enjoy God, the actress. I always forget her name. Uh doesn't matter at the moment. I apologize. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I noticed right off the bat that they were bringing back almost all, not everyone, almost all of the actors to do some of the voice work
Oh,
for their
okay.
respective characters. Like Stanley Tucci's back as Erskine, Toby Jones is back as Eamon, the right
Yeah.
hand man,
Yep.
whatever. Uh, Peggy Carter, I believe Sebastian Stan as Bucky. But besides the point, I thought she did a solid job voice acting. Like
Mm-hmm,
seriously,
mm-hmm.
you and I have talked about Castlevania and how some of that doesn't quite work. I'm going to be completely honest though. I don't think Sebastian Stan is a particularly great voice actor. Um, you have to be trained in that kind of thing or coached in some way, and I feel like his delivery lacks a lot of like umph.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to him. I mean, again, like I don't know how much voice acting experience the actor who's played Peggy Carter has, but she's great in it. Like, uh, I was thinking to myself, like, wow, they managed to do an Iron Man suit. They managed to do like Captain Carter. They managed to introduce all this other fun stuff. The episode doesn't really, I think, stray too far from like a what if scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really is different on the surface. She becomes Cap essentially. Uh, they find a new way for uh, Red Skull and her to kind of be frozen in time. But other than that, other than the very ending when Peggy Carter goes to the portal and comes back almost instantaneously to 2010, I would imagine 2011.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't much difference, and I'm interested in seeing what kind of a difference that poses in the larger what if universe,
Right.
right? Um, I enjoyed the Steve Rogers character. I liked the idea that like God, I gotta stop. I enjoyed the idea that he is still someone who wants to help, that he's not someone who's bitter. I like
Right.
that reconciliation because that feels like something that MCU Steve Rogers would just do. He's like, "Hey, I still want to help out as best I can.
Yeah.
Let me do what I want to do. Let me do what I can do."
Yeah.
Um, the uh, the Ironmonger Hydra Stomper Iron Man suit I thought was pretty fun for being like an old 40s like automaton outfit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, mm, voice acting was iffy, half and half, I'd say. Uh, I'm glad they brought back a bunch of actors to do some of their respective parts.
Mm-hmm.
The story I didn't think had too much uh, divergence, which I think might have hurt it. But for a first story, for a first outing, I think playing it safe isn't the worst idea. Because it's like, I mean, what are you gonna do? It's like, are they gonna get picked up by Ego and like hop across space fighting Galactus or something? No, that's not really in the plans. I'm drifting. I liked it. I do think the second episode was more enjoyable,
Oh,
and we'll
okay.
get to that next week. And we're gonna have to fucking get you up to date on the next two episodes when we talk. But
All right. Hmm.
this was a fun one. I liked that it was a little more self-contained,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I like that the other one also had kind of a self-contained nature to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they do seem to be opening the idea up for a larger universe in the second one, but we'll get to that when you see it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't really have too much to say on it. It's just a cartoon.
So
So,
I have some gripes.
oh no,
Yeah.
it's because she's a buff woman, isn't it? You
It's
fucking sexist.
exactly it. All right. No, s- so the thing that bothers me is they got the Tesseract,
Okay.
and then
And the sir, the fear searches for trinkets in the desert.
yeah, like so Captain Carter retrieves it from the Red Skull, or before the Red Skull can get it, right?
Right.
They take it back, and then nothing really shows, and then all of a sudden Red Skull has it. What the? How did the fuck did that happen?
Oh no, he has it because the Tesseract powers the Hulk's the Hydra Stomper.
Oh, that fucking makes sense.
That's because that was the point. It wasn't the repurposed train scene wasn't to kill Steve Rogers. It was to capture the Hydra Stomper, or to capture
Oh,
the Tesseract in the Hydra Stomper.
that makes way more sense. So basically, the Tesseract is inside the Iron Man suit, basically. Okay, my thought process was that they just had the Tesseract and um Stark basically like use some of its power to funnel it into this machine. Okay, all right, that makes way more sense. All right, so that gripe no longer a gripe. I'm just an idiot. Second gripe, Captain Carter jumping over like 50-foot walls. Like Captain America wasn't able to do that.
Harry, shut
Why?
the fuck up. God damn it.
I'm just saying they need to be consistent. I understand that it's animated, and I would let it slide, but I'm just like, look, if
So, if I may
okay, please,
assuage
please,
your I would
look,
like to argue
uh huh.
that Cap could have basically just done that from the beginning. I think the Russo brothers had an understanding of how to make Captain America look cool
Mm,
via, Winter Soldier and all this other stuff
yeah,
in a way that the previous movie just didn't know how to do. Like I get like he's a bit of fish out of water, he's a super soldier, he doesn't really know what he's doing. But I think at that point you kind of just need to forego some of that. And they didn't really I don't get the impression that a lot of consideration was taken to make Cap look fucking awesome or show how awesome he is when he's doing something.
mm,
Now, Captain Carter has hindsight and it's an animated like show. The moment I saw her kicking ass when they were retrieving the Tesseract, I was like, that is almost on fucking par with the Winter Soldier fight scene, in my opinion. Her
mm,
just chucking the fucking Union Jack shield at everything and just kicking everyone's ass,
yeah,
I thought was the coolest thing on the planet. You couldn't do that, I think, as enjoyably the same way if it was live action. So one, it is animated. Two, I do point that gripe at the movie previously for not really highlighting the capabilities that Cap has. I
mm,
get it. He's a fictional character. You could power level him however you want, but I think the Russo brothers had a better understanding of how cool he is when he's doing his cool superhuman stuff that the previous movie didn't.
okay,
I.e., Cap could do that already. This show just has the hindsight of showing that off. Essentially, you have the aesthetic
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
of the first movie, but you have Captain Carter, who is the Captain Carter, or who would be like Captain America from Winter Soldier, that like
Okay,
adept acrobat who's just martial artsing everything to death.
okay.
I know it doesn't help. Like,
No, I'm slightly swayed because you're right. You know, because it is animated and I will agree, the fight scenes were way more. I mean, again, because animated, it was way more fluid.
fun.
And
Like,
yeah, that's a good term, fun. And more because it was way more fast paced, and you would think someone with the capabilities of a super soldier would be a lot quicker. Where like obviously Chris Evans as a human, wouldn't be able to move around in that quickness.
it's it's one of the genuine benefits of animation is
Mm-hmm.
the exaggerated articulation of human beings.
Yeah.
So, like, have you ever seen the making of or like the walkthrough of the animation for the Last Airbender?
Um. No, this is the show
I'm
or
not quizzing you. The show.
no, I've not.
So there's a really endearing moment when the animators or the guys who created the show, they did all of the literal articulation, like
Mm,
the physical articulation for the characters, and it looks so silly because they're articulating like animated expressions, right? So you're thinking like, oh, it looks kind of silly, but when you see it, it is an understandable like expression of emotion, right? They
yeah.
do that moment where Aang is doing the little toy trick that the dude fucking
Oh
salivates over
yeah.
and passes out. And they actually act that scene out. And they do a couple of scenes with Sokka in live action.
Mm,
And it doesn't have that same feeling. But animation creates that level of articulation that we understand that again, live action can't quite replicate.
mm-hmm.
So again, like you were saying, not only is it more fluid, but you would have to have like a CGI character doing all of that stuff
Yeah.
in the first place, which is what Agent Carter is, not taking away from how badass she is.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
But I
Um,
understand where you're coming at with that. I noticed on that there was some like power level stuff in there. It doesn't take away from the fact that there are some, I think, power level criticisms, but I think they're pretty minor anyway.
yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I agree. Um, all right,
If you
we can.
want my gripey
Oh
fucking
yes.
American, I think uh, it's different, okay? Because I feel like I don't know if there's any credence to this, okay? This is just a thought I had in my head and
Mm-hmm.
it felt weird. So Captain America's outfit is based off of the American flag, right?
Yes.
But it's not a one-to-one comparison. Like he doesn't literally have like an outfit that on his like right breast is blue and white and the rest of his outfit is like red and white, right?
Yeah.
His outfit is like American, but it's not America.
Yeah.
Like he, of course, like he represents like America to a lot of other people. He probably represents like American hegemony and whatever. You get the idea, right?
Yes.
I thought it was really weird that they, instead of just giving Peggy Carter like a red, white, and blue outfit and just making her Agent Carter, they literally put the Union Jack on her body. Like I
Yeah.
don't like it's not a problem. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. Like I like the design of her cap costume. But I think it's weird in the sense that again, I don't know how different it is because again, I'm an American. I'm beholden to like American exceptionalism probably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think it's different to the degree that Captain America represented like what he thought were the ideals of the United States, or at least, like that of the American values.
Yeah.
Whereas I get the impression that when she has the Union Jack on her body and on the shield, she's literally an agent of the British government, which
Yeah. Fair
doesn't
enough.
tack on the same values. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Again, it's a female character playing a super soldier fighting a Nazi with a red skull. Like I'm not gonna. Well, you know that England was heavily imperializing the rest of like fucking whatever. I just thought it was kind of strange. I don't know
Yeah,
the
I didn't think about
literal
it, but
tacking
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway,
I get
that was
behind
my
that.
stupid 2 cents.
All right. Suicide Squad.
Fuck yeah! What'd you think?
I liked it.
Good.
I'd probably. What did you say? You said you gave it a 8 out of 10.
7 point something. seven
Seven
point five.
points. I'd probably give it a an 8 or 8.5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, let's go 8.25. Just because
Nice.
fuck it. Um,
Do you want to get into a discussion real quick about it?
yeah. Okay, so the stuff that you told me last week, I can get 100% behind it. I love the
I
way.
think fucking Savant, them playing him up as this gigantic badass, and
Mhm,
then that moment where it's like everyone's getting fucking murked, and you see the look on his face, and all of a sudden
yeah,
it just goes from like indifference to horror
yeah,
is so goddamn good.
yep,
Oh,
yeah.
oh man.
That like you said, those first 20 minutes were really good. Like
Yeah,
to set up what the hell's happening, and I was telling Livy how you're saying like I'm glad that this Suicide Squad is not world altering. It's just this little thing, and you know what I mean. Like it's so to
yeah.
itself. Like it's not gonna
Like
affect. You know, yeah,
it becomes like a thing. Like the end of the
yeah,
movie is literally a giant fucking kaiju, like
yeah.
rummaging like a planet. If he
Mm-hmm.
continues, I would imagine it would be a problem. But the movie starts off with like, "Hey, we need you to get reconnaissance." There's a wrinkle in that. Okay, they're back together. Go back in there, and then they find out that there's more.
Yeah.
Even that's the thing that I enjoy is even if it eventually does have higher stakes,
Mm-hmm.
we're fed into that.
Yeah.
Whereas the original Suicide Squad was like, I've opened up a giant ass fucking portal in the middle of Chicago too. I'm
Yeah.
evil. Like, there's no actual villain in this story, if you notice too. Like, yeah, there's the dim-witted general, there's the guy who wants to become the president, but like, there's no singular antagonist, really.
Like you would think the antagonist would probably be who's the person leading them?
Oh, yeah, Waller.
Yes. I think you would consider maybe them the villain.
She's a far more effective antagonist. Who
Yeah.
all by the way, I think is more enjoyable in this too. I think
Mm-hmm.
Viola Davis really lays on the smarm
Mm-hmm.
to such an enjoyable level. Anyway, keep going, bud. I want to hear you.
No, yeah, the first 20 minutes were really good. I love it. I love that you're saying just that character just kind of like I like how he looks at one side. He looks at how professional they're like, you know, walking onto the beach, and he looks on the other side and how like unprofessional they are, and it's just like, what the fuck's happening? Yeah, and then just all hell breaks loose, and
For me,
fucking silly.
it's like there's so many great bits. There's like how off-putting Weasel looks when he's like doing anything.
Yep.
Um, there's TDK and that wonderful
Oh,
bit where they're like, "Oh man, activate the detachable kid," and then like he detaches his arms and you think he's gonna do something cool, and his arms are like walking pace going over to this dude, and they're just like rummaging around him.
yeah,
And then when they're doing the montage of people getting killed, they're just shooting his arms and he's like kicking his feet in the
yeah,
sand. Like that part made me fucking like almost spit out water. Like just watching him just like writhing in agony.
yeah,
Um like they literally got people that not even the Suicide Squad knew. And no
yeah.
one knows the Suicide Squad to die. Like that I
Mhm.
really liked.
Yeah, it's. I think they did a really good. I agree. They did a really good job with that. Where it's like you kind of get what the Suicide Squad is. Like it is a literal Suicide Squad. Like they're
Yeah.
not meant to come back. Um
Hmm.
and
And if you do, you get a little bit of time off your sentence. It's not
yeah,
get time off your sentence, do this. It's your meat for the grinder. Here's a bone your way if you make it. You're probably not going to get a second chance, even if you survive.
yeah. So
So,
no, I thought it was great. The comedy was there.
oh yeah,
The comedy was fuck. I was laughing pretty hard in a lot of parts.
I
I
knew,
love
I knew. Oh, go ahead. I want to hear your parts.
I love how like they really are unprofessional. My favorite part in the entire movie has to be when they're like killing everyone in the camp, and they go up,
Oh
and then you're
God.
like they're like, Flag, what are you doing? Like what do you mean? Like what are you doing? Like we came to save you. He's like, dude, we're with like the resistance, like, you know, they're here to help us. It's like, hey, why didn't anybody tell me like you guys were coming? Like, oh, I don't know, we didn't see anybody. Like,
The best part, and I knew I was in for a fucking treat when Dubois and what's his name were doing the dick measuring contest, and fucking John Cena just has the axe and walks past the dude and just starts like
oh yeah, just
stabbing.
yeah,
Oh, so good. Unless it looks dope as fuck.
yeah.
Oh,
It's like,
fuck, he's right.
fuck, he's
Um, no, I completely agree. I also feel like it hits a lot of those emotional and serious beats really well too.
It
Like,
does, yeah. The talk between what's his name?
yeah.
Bloodsport and Rat Queen, I forgot their name. Um
Oh
like
yeah,
that scene was really good.
that's got some venom to it.
Yeah. But you're right, like
And
the
that's
it
that's the thing is that's what I really really fucking like is there are some really solid scenes that really endear you to him. It's not
yeah.
like there's none of this like, oh man, oh I wasn't loved as a kid, or like, oh I became a weapon, or this. It's like there are a couple moments where he's an asshole, but he says some funny shit. You're
Hmm.
endeared to the dick measuring. There's a moment when Dubois, I love his fucking name, I'm not gonna lie. When Bloodsport is talking about his dad being an abusive asshole,
Hmm.
and the camera goes back onto John Cena, and he like smirks and like nods his head like I understand that abuse.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh shit, he kind of empathizes with these characters. There's the bit where he's dancing. There's the fucking moment when he orders a drink from the waitress for Sebastian the Rat,
Yeah.
right? And it's like these moments really endear you to this character, and then you realize he's just a fucking psychopath. Like
Yeah.
his worldview is literally so fucking binary that like it doesn't matter at all. Like I
Right.
like that. That is a solid way to build up betrayal. That is a solid way to build up a character and turn them into a bad guy or an antagonist.
Yeah. No, I agreed. Um but and yeah, I just overall liked the movie. I thought they did a great job bringing in Gunn to direct it. Especially since he, you know, has been doing a fantastic job over with the Galaxy of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah,
Galactic Guardians.
yeah, that, and I'm more excited to see part 3 of that. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I I found that the movie had a lot of emotional beats that like really stuck. I don't know if it's just a generic movie that I think is elevated because of like the really bad DC movies,
hmm hmm
or if there's some really good parts in here that I think worked. Like they like just I mentioned this to you before, but like the fact that they got like the pudgiest and least intimidating version of King Shark on screen,
yeah,
and then they have him like just sounding off like emotional bits like, oh I don't have friends, I wouldn't eat my friends, but I don't have friends. And then the music pairing with those little suction cup monsters when he's like playing with them, like that's shit that like there's no dialogue really, there's no like, oh someone stepped on my cat. It's just like that's stuff that you experience while you have endeared yourself to these characters over not even 2 hours really. And I think that's really the effective bit. And like I was saying, I'm eating my hat now
yeah,
because they managed James Gunn managed to do in one movie what like this entire experiment hasn't been able to do. Endear me to people who don't have any real background, who don't have that many like great roots, who aren't really anything. He did the same thing by the way with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'd never heard of
hmm
them before. I'm not a big comic person, but apparently like Star Wars was invented in the late 70s. and was just like a C. I mean, he is that in the MCU, but was just a C tier hero. So like, hats off to Gunn, literally, for making these characters memorable. Seriously, and hats off to the actors too. I know Harley Quinn isn't an unknown actress or an unknown character, but they managed to really disentangle her from the Joker in this movie. Uh, I think Birds of Prey did a really great job at that. I did like Birds of Prey. I thought it was one of the better DC movies that they've come out with. Um, but I think this one just not acknowledging him at all and just kind of saying like, "Hey, Harley Quinn's been in some shit. I'm trying to move on and I'm trying to spot the red flags." I thought that was a really funny scene and a really good one too. Um, I also appreciate that she gets a lot of quality screen time while still taking kind of a back seat.
Yeah.
Everyone did a great job. Where fucking Christ, Captain Boomerang has his fucking 30 seconds of
Oh yeah, he dies in that.
shine. God, so good. Um, Joel Kinnaman, who plays Rick Flag, he does a far better job in this than he does in the original. Uh, it just goes to show you that like it's not always the performances. It's really sometimes the writing.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying. I don't think John Cena is a particularly great actor. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't. I don't think his comedic timing is that great. I don't really particularly think he knows how to like to emote. But this movie, with the direction of Gunn, with the writing of Gunn, really highlighted some of his strengths, and that's something that I think is fucking impressive. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, big kaiju battle in the end is fun. Um, endeared to characters I didn't think I'd ever be endeared to. Gets the point of the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, copies and pastes a bit of the Guardians of the Galaxy's kind of emotional core to this, and it really works. It
Yeah.
really, really fucking works. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it's R rated too, I think, lends itself a little more to James Gunn's style. He
Mm-hmm.
tends to really love doing like gory, emotional stuff, like Slither. Slither's a fucking wonderful movie.
Mm.
If you haven't seen it, I recommend Nathan Fillion and Michael
Slither.
Roker,
Okay.
I think his name is.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Savant.
Okay.
Really solid science fiction, gory, emotional movie. He really has an eye for directing like gory misfit kind of stuff, and I really
Mm.
appreciate that. But yeah.
Good shit. Yeah. Yeah. It was a good movie overall.
Oh,
Uh,
I got it. I know that you're probably not going to watch it, so I wanted to explore an idea.
okay.
Um, Nando V Movies, the guy who I've been bitching and moaning about for a while now,
Mm-hmm.
he talked about how much he fucking loved this movie, and he said, if there was anything that I'd have to change, it would be the ending.
Oh,
The
interesting.
point of Starro is to take characters that we already know. There's a really great episode in Batman Beyond
Mm-hmm.
when Superman, during Batman's initiation into the possible initiation into the Justice League, Superman is taken over by Starro, right?
Yeah.
And that's popular in the comics. The idea is that you take these superhero characters and you mind control them. He said what would have really been fun is if the previous Suicide Squad had gotten Starroed, and
Mm.
it wasn't just Harley, Bloodsport, Ratcatcher 2, and them doing that, but them fighting against the previous Suicide Squad to get to Starro. That would have been fun.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
It just sucks that the first one was just not. You know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to continue what the previous movie was doing, it's kind of like, you know, kind of
Oh
lost
no, I
out.
mean the
You know?
first team.
Oh, okay. The
Yeah,
one that got destroyed.
yeah.
Oh,
Fuck the
okay.
fucking first team.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you take like the corpses of like Mongal and Blackguard and Javelin, and fight them against the Suicide Squad that we have at the end. That would be
I
fun.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Yeah. But yeah, Suicide Squad. I actually watched it.
Good. Oh, speaking of, we're gonna have to catch Shang-Chi together too soon too.
It's true. We definitely will. Um
C'est vrai.
we need to figure out what dates all these movies are coming out and when we're watching them. So I can write them down on my calendar so I can remember.
There's
Cuz
stuff
I
that isn't
have
necessarily just superhero stuff that I've been wanting to catch with you too.
yeah, dude. Just let me know and just, cuz I have the memory of a
Of a fucking goldfish.
yeah, basically. So, just like, Harry, this date, this movie. I'm like,
Okay.
you got it. Boom. Next on the list, you were gonna tell me about a few movies,
Okay. So
please.
the first thing I want to change the order a bit.
Okay.
Um, I just caught the beginning, the first episode of a show to a movie that we both enjoy.
Yes.
The show is called Wellington Paranormal. Wellington Paranormal is a spin-off, very much like the show on Fox, of What We Do in the Shadows. In the movie, when Peter is killed, for anyone who knows, the fourth vampire in the little loft roommate flat group agreement, Wellington PD come, and it's these two polite if aloof cops who are uh, glamored into seeing something else other than a crime scene. The show follows these two cops as they investigate paranormal activities in Wellington, New Zealand, and it's very funny. It's got the same freehand camera, documentary kind of style that What We Do in the Shadows had. It feels funny, if a bit produced. One of the things that Taika Waititi and the other cast member says they had like way more hours of just funny shit that they had to like condense into barely 2 hours worth of movie. So I think this is a little they can't get away with doing something like that. So of course this has to be a little more produced.
Right.
Um, so the jokes I don't think they have nearly as much of a pool for the jokes in case they don't always land, but it's still pretty funny. Um, Definitely recommend if you're looking for a cute little low budget paranormal like investigation show. Um, the next one is something that we've been talking about for a while. It's a movie. I've mentioned, I think, 2 or 3 times on the podcast. Neil Blomkamp's Demonic.
Mm.
I'm going to go out straight ahead and say I was actually pretty disappointed with this movie.
Okay.
Um, I do like Neil Blomkamp, uh, but he wrote and directed this, and I felt he was at his strongest when he was doing smaller budget productions.
Mm.
Before he did District 9, he did Alive in Joburg, which is what District 9 is based off of. He did Yellow, which is my favorite of his short films. I thought it would have made a great like uh, I thought it would have made a great piece in like a RoboCop movie. I really
Okay.
do. Um, but this movie feels like a step below what he's made.
Mm.
Uh, he took some time to develop a production company called Oats on YouTube, which developed a couple interesting movies. He had a small short film with Dakota Fanning, which I actually thought was far superior, in my opinion,
Oh.
to this. And that movie was done with an even smaller budget. Besides the point, Demonic follows a young woman who is called into a medical center to examine her comatose mother. Her
Okay.
mother, I think about 20 years prior, was arrested for killing 5 priests and setting fire to a nursing home, killing 27 additional people.
Yeah.
We find out through a therapy simulated program that she is cognitively alive, and not only that, but she's not responsible for any of it. It's like a demon, and they have to go on this little experiment to rid the demon from her.
Okay.
I don't really know how much I need to spoil or should spoil. I found the movie lacking.
Okay.
You know when you watch a film and it goes in a couple of directions, but I don't think it, or when it goes in a couple directions, but it doesn't really go in enough directions far enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's, as an example, small tangent. There's a movie called Jolt,
Jolt.
and it stars Jai Courtney, who, by the way, played Captain Boomerang, Stanley Tucci, who is always a wonderful addition, and Kate Beckinsale, who I think is phenomenal most of the time.
Mm.
And she plays a character who suffers from like psychotic level anger issues, and she's extremely violent, and she gets into fights and yada yada this and yada yada that. Um, and she's trying to live a normal life, and she kind of shocks herself with an experimental harness to prevent
Oh.
herself from just spontaneously beating the shit out of someone, right?
Right.
She falls in love, and the person is killed, and she goes on like this John Wick style thing. And the
Ooh.
movie doesn't lean heavily enough into the John Wick style martial arts. It doesn't lean heavily into like the emotional stuff of being someone who is like uncontrollably angry to the point of violence. It doesn't really go much into like the that the what is it? The suspense thriller kind of stuff that it wants to do. It's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a B minus at everything kind of thing. Like, you know how John Wick is exceptionally good at being a martial arts action movie?
Yeah.
Like that. It would be
Okay.
like it would be like if John Wick wanted to do like fantasy action adventure and then just half-assed that part.
Yeah.
Right. It would be like, oh, hey, there's an orc and he's friends with John Wick, and it's like, what does the orc do? Oh, nothing. I'm just an orc. So when I see demonic, there are so many interesting things behind it. There's the true crime aspect behind it, but she's actually possessed by like this crow demon thing. Um, there's the therapy simulator that they have, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought, wow, they could have done something just with that, and it could have been really interesting. There's also what I am going to chalk up as the biggest upset in the movie.
Oh.
It turns out that the Catholic Church has purchased the like medical therapy organization that is helping the main character, Therapol.
Huh.
And the people working with her are actually a sect, a division of soldiers that work for the Catholic Church.
Okay.
So the main character has this friend, and he is scarred by the events that I have mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
The killing of the nursing home people. And he's the movie's certifiable crank, right? And he tells the main character about the demon, about where it probably comes from, and that there's the Catholic, Suicide Squad division, right? And then 10 minutes later, we're introduced to these characters in their capacity. And then another 10 or 12 minutes later, they're dead.
Huh.
Like any one of these things I think they could have gone with. They could have gone with the woman being picked up as a child by this like Catholic like mercenary squad and
Mm-hmm.
like training with them, and it could have been like an interesting action movie, hunting down demons. They could have done like a matrixy style thing, a psychological matrix style thing where she's stuck in this simulator. uh, I wouldn't necessarily do the true crime thing because I think that's done to death. But there are so many directions and things that are going on in this movie that just are not explored to their fullest. The simulation thing doesn't even really do much. I mean, the character's only in the simulations for I think about I would probably hazard 15 minutes of screen time over 3 separate times.
Okay.
And like I said, the Catholic ass kickers are like suiting up for a moment, and then all we see of them is them being dead. So I
Oh.
feel like there's so much potential in this story, and they still could have kept all of these premises. I think another 10 minutes fleshed out could have done this movie a lot of good. But honestly, I was just so disappointed because for all things said and done, I've actually really enjoyed Neil Blomkamp's works. I really enjoyed Elysium for what it was. I enjoyed Chappie. That was actually a pretty fun movie. Um, I've enjoyed the short films that he's experimented with on Oats on YouTube. But I think this is the movie. This is the movie that I'm genuinely disappointed. And I thought it was actually going to be a fairly interesting movie from what I saw in the trailers. But the movie was almost exactly what I saw. This movie that doesn't quite live up to any of the gimmicks that it throws at this film or this premise.
Mm-hmm.
But despite the fact that I tore this movie a new one, go out and watch it. No, by all means, if you have any dissenting opinions, go and watch it. It's only a couple bucks to rent. I encourage you, even if
Mm.
you disagree with me, to always go see a movie that I might not recommend.
Show.
Maybe not directly you, Harry. I know how you are, you cheap bastard. But all
Sorry.
one people listening.
Hey, I
The
try.
No, I know you do. I'm only giving you shit. It's for the comedy of the fucking
For the
podcast, Harry.
comedy.
Um, the second movie I actually thought was a lot better. The second
Okay.
film is Night House.
Night House.
And this is a movie where you have to do a bit of interpreting.
Okay.
So the premise of this, I'll just go straight into the idea about this. The premise
Yes.
of this movie is a woman who recently lost her husband to suicide is being visited by a spirit or is being visited and discovers some things about her husband that shake her understanding of their relationship.
Okay.
Um this movie this trailer I saw for was fairly interesting. I wasn't all that excited for it, but I do like Rebecca Hall.
Okay.
Um Rebecca Hall plays I can't even I don't do her service by saying this. She was the actress in Iron Man 3 who betrays Tony Stark.
Oh yeah, yes, yes, yes. I remember
Yeah.
now.
Um, before I get into any reviews, before I get into anything, Rebecca Hall is fucking amazing
Okay.
in this story. I think the writing is fairly standard, is fairly straightforward, and it is her performance above all else that elevates this movie.
Oh.
The writing has, I mean, the movie has this very like, oh, we're in a haunted place. Oh, why don't we just leave? Da 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 da. But her performance and her conveyance of emotion sells the, well, why don't you just leave kind of trope that you see in a lot of horror films. Um, she goes through so much grief and the desire to have her loved one back that she stays in this place, and for the most part she's not even scared. Like, she's
Mm.
of course terrified by things that she goes in, but you get a wonderful sense of, like, she is more desire to be with the person that she loves or to have him back than she is afraid most of the time. um I won't get into spoilers with this because I actually think it's I was like guessing with my girlfriend like half the time, like, oh wait, what the fuck is going on? Um, I think this is a pretty good film. I don't care for many like generic horror films where it's a haunted place or whatever. This is
Mm.
done in like two or three locations, a house and like two or yeah, I think two external locations, two or three.
Yeah.
Rebecca Hall again. I really cannot like wax enough about how good her performance is. She elevates, I think, every part of this film. Um, the film mainly follows her and one or two other people that she comes across. Uh, the film feels very smooth. I don't know
Okay.
how to specify it. Most movies, it's like, oh, here's the introduction, the jump scare, uh, breathing room, jump scare, breathing room, jump scare, jump scare. Um, this film introduces kind of its horrors or its tension fairly organically, I think. Or no, maybe not organic. Organic probably wouldn't be the right word. Yeah, smoothly, I think. Um,
Okay.
we're introduced to this character's living situation uh, fairly quickly. Most of what happens in this film is not necessarily, it is jump scare, but it's not like
Yeah.
monster jump scare. It's environmental. Um and I think it's atmospheric scares.
Mm.
Uh every instance of tension slowly ratchets up. That's what I mean when I say smooth.
Okay.
Information is being revealed at a steady pace, typically in line with some of the scares. So you're having a nice build up to the end. The ending, I do think, kind of removes some of the pressure, some of the
Okay.
tension that's been built up. Uh, I think that's more intentional, to be honest. But uh, I think for me, it slowed the movie's pace down, or maybe not slowed the movie's pace down, but I think for me it hurt the film just a little bit, um, because there's I really do think there's some genuine scares in this movie. Um, all again made all of the much better by Rebecca Hall. Um, and the last third of the movie kind of decides to forego some of the horror
Mm-hmm.
for like the moral dilemma or the emotional stuff. And that's still good, don't get me wrong, but the I think the horror being kind of diffused ruins some of the tension that was built up, in my opinion. But other than that, I thought this movie was actually really good. Uh, it looks like it was fairly cheaply made, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I get the impression that it had a small budget and they did a fucking doozy with what they had. Seriously.
Mm.
Uh, small cast, very few locations, and they used every ounce of the budget that they had to their fullest. And hats off to them. So yeah, Night House. That is in theaters at the moment, so I won't recommend going to see it in theaters. Uh, but as long as you're trying to be safe and as long as you got a couple people, a couple seats in between you and the next person, again, try to be safe about it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. I guess Eternals trailer.
Fuck yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm intrigued. So we're talking about it before the podcast. And you're saying that Rob Stark's actor character,
Richard Madden.
yes, might possibly be the villain or a villain.
It's a theory. I don't know. The way he's kind of portrayed in this movie, like, yeah, he's got a couple joke scenes with like the desk breaking under him,
Yeah,
but like the whole evil Superman pose they have him in,
yeah.
some of the fight scenes, like it looks the framing device feels like he's being framed, almost like that, the bad guy, and the way that the
Mm,
movie framed him is like the forefront, like the kind of like white savior look is
yeah.
a little different from how he is in this, and I would really like that inversion.
Mm.
Um, like, oh, hold on.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, yanked my mic out. Tear down, everyone. Anyway, like the first trailer paints him as like the Tony Stark Captain America type, right? And
right.
I would really, really enjoy if they did something a little different, where
Yeah.
they added a little color to this black and white world where everyone's either evil, good, or just waiting to be redeemed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I don't mind if characters are evil, but I really want a character that like isn't just mustache twirlingly evil.
Yeah.
Um, I think, despite being a fucking ethno nationalist and a fucking psychopath, Killmonger was probably closer than any other character to that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, sure.
but I'm excited. Theory aside, it looks fun. It has like a Prometheus vibe to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it
Like that
does.
like hazy, otherworldly, primordial vibe.
Yeah, like it doesn't look like a Marvel movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I
cover wise, and then also like just the way like they're described, like yeah, like superpowers and stuff, and they talk about the Avengers and Thanos and everything, but it's like it it I don't know, like yeah, you're right, it has more of a Prometheus feel to it,
mhm.
with you know superpowers.
You know what I was thinking? I actually had this thought to myself
Mm-hmm.
this week, and it came about when I was kind of thinking through what I say when I say like this movie doesn't feel like it would survive on its own. This movie doesn't feel like this. I remember when Daredevil came out, the
Uh-huh.
2003 movie. And
Yes.
I enjoyed it when I was a kid, and I know now that it's not that great. But I remember when Elektra got her own movie, and I was excited for that, right?
Right.
But I remember seeing it when it came out, and I didn't care for it at all. And whenever I
Yes.
think of most new movies, I tend to think of Elektra. And I don't know what it is because I never cared for the art style. I didn't care for the direction it went. Uh, and whenever I think of any of these new Marvel movies, whenever they add like a new strange thing, I get this feeling that harkens back primordially. No, that kind of harkens back to Elektra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. Like when I heard that they were bringing Doctor Strange in, I thought about it. When I heard that they were doing it with Shang-Chi, I thought about it. When I heard that they were doing it with uh shit, when I heard about that they were doing it with Ant-Man and this, I thought about it. Like there's some visual thing that makes me like instinctly go straight back to Elektra. And I liked Jennifer Garner. I thought she was a fine Electra Nachos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just something about that movie that made me like, no, this unknown superhero to a general audience won't work. No, this like visual style won't work. No, this choice of color palette won't work. Like
Mm,
something as minute as that made me think like I hate when movies are shot in forests. Like the total like oversaturated color of green. I think that's where I fucking got that from. But I don't know. Like I think that's where I got that from. I like how this looks, like visually speaking. Like it looks very enjoyable
mm-hmm.
from like a palette sense. Um, in a way that I didn't quite think with. I know I just said that with Electra, but in terms of the visual style, I don't think that. But
Mm,
as a tangent, I was thinking to myself, why do I feel that way about these movies? And why do I say that with these characters? And for some reason, I keep using that movie Electra as like a template as to why I don't like put stock necessarily or am trepid about how these new movies look.
mm-hmm.
I don't know, but yes, I am excited. I really we still don't know much about the story to be honest. I mean,
Yeah,
other than like fucking Rita Repulsa's fucking summoning goddamn minions.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing it. I want to see what they do. I'm I wonder how they're going to juggle so many performances
yeah.
because they've got
True.
what amounts to like 10 Eternals, and then they have to introduce like the Celestials and all that, and possibly talk about Thanos and give all of these characters some kind of dynamic and character. So that's going to
True.
be interesting. That's going to be more characters introduced in a single movie than I think any other Marvel film.
Yeah, but yeah. I think that'll go into our next topic. There's this little picture that I showed you where, uh, which three of the remaining 2021 releases would you protect from being
Ooh.
delayed? Um, there's Shang-Chi.
Mhm.
There's Many Saints Newark.
The Many
No,
Saints of Newark.
sorry, The Many Saints of Newark. No Time to Die, 007.
Mhm.
Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Dune, The French Dispatch, Jackass Forever, Last Night in
Soho.
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 Thank you. Eternals, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Top Gun Maverick, and then Spider-Man No Way Home. Um,
I want to hear you first because I've been hogging the mic.
so for me, as much as I like Venom, I'm okay if it got pushed back some more. Um, for me, it's Dune number one, just because it
Hmm.
looks really, really good.
And
Um,
you'll never hear the fucking end of it if I don't hear it in your list.
um, Eternals and Spider Man both like tied for second.
Okay.
And we were talking about it before we started the podcast, and that's only because I want to know what's going to happen with the future of the Marvel universe. The only reason I don't have Shang-Chi in there is, as we discussed, and you were saying, it's one of those one-off films. At least that's how I feel.
Hmm.
Like Ant-Man and also like Eternals, right? And the thing is, Eternals to me might be a one-off, but it can also not be because, like you said, there's 10 characters being introduced, and now they're
Yeah.
showing that there are Celestials, and it's like this could be pushed towards a lot of lore in this film. So it's like I'm kind of excited for it. And then Spider-Man, same thing, right? Doctor Strange is going to be in it. I think there might be I don't remember if Loki's going to be involved in it or not, if he's going to make an
Hmm.
appearance, but I believe there might be. And so there's more lore in the Marvel universe going to be introduced there. So I'm kind of intrigued about those movies just so I can see what's gonna happen, right?
Right.
And there's nothing for like I said, Venom would probably be tied with Shang-Chi with like I guess fourth because
Hmm.
there's two movies in second, tied in fourth, and then after that I don't know, like the Ghost movie looks interesting. Top Gun, looks interesting. I don't think I would go to the movies to watch the fourth Jackass.
Mm.
Uh, it's just like it's funny because recently, I think a month ago, I was at a friend's house, and we we just played the first two Jackass movies just because we're like, oh, we haven't seen these in a while, so we just played it kind of in the background. But we sat down and watched both of them, and yeah, I don't think I'm ready for because I remember part three, and I was not the biggest fan of part three,
Hmm.
so I don't think I really want to spend money to watch a part four. Especially,
Really? You sure?
I'm pretty goddamn sure. Especially, how long after is this? Like, at least 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay off that. I completely forgot there was gonna be another 007. And the rest, the Many Saints of Newark, the French Dispatch, and Last Night in Soho. I have I didn't even know there was for movies. So that's my take though. Dune number one, and then Eternals and Spider Man locked in number two together.
Hmm.
Like to me, it doesn't matter which one I see first. It's like those are kind of the only ones that I'm really intrigued about. Just because I'm so involved in this world, you know what I mean? That it's
Yeah.
like I would like to see
You're
what's coming up
invested.
next.
You like to
There,
see
thank
how
you.
you want to see how built this world gets.
I am invested.
Good.
Yeah.
And I like, well, I like talking. I mean, it's one of the main things. I like talking about it with you.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
You might be surprised.
Oh.
Um, I am gonna go with, in this order,
Mm-hmm.
Dune.
Okay.
Obviously, if it wasn't on here, whatever. But Dune,
Mm-hmm.
Last Night in Soho,
Oh.
and The French Dispatch.
Interesting. I'm sure you know more about these movies than I do.
Yeah.
Can you
Well,
can you
not
elaborate?
just more too, but I do know about these movies.
Okay.
So
Can you elaborate on them, please?
Dune, of course, we've talked about. It's a
Yes.
science fantasy that talks about what happens when you give a fucking 15-year-old prescient powers, and a lot of geopolitical stuff involved in there too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is directed by, Last Night in Soho is directed by Edgar Wright, who, if you don't know, did, in reverse, Baby Driver, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead. He's
Oh.
an immensely talented filmmaker. Like, this man is really good. Um, it is a suspense horror about a young art student who manages to travel back in time through the eyes of another woman
Mm.
into Soho, London, I think, and scary hijinks ensue there.
Oh.
The next one, of course, is a fucking Anderson film, Wes Anderson film.
Oh, it's a Wes Anderson film. Okay. I
Yeah,
I got the vibe from the cover, but I am. I'm not really good with those.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
essentially just an anthology of stories based around uh, editorials, I believe, from the French Dispatch, a journalist or a news journalist. Fucking Christ, a paper,
Okay.
newspaper. Um, most of the time, I will always take non-franchise films like that over a franchise film.
I can get behind that 100%.
Uh, as I've mentioned before with Fox gone, and to be honest, Fox is not a good guy in this, but having Fox is not a good guy in this situation, but with the absence of Fox, more money is being placed into fewer projects, and I don't like that.
Mm.
I want the most possible money to go into the most possible productions. I
Yeah.
want more productions, and I want as much as we can put into them, not an extra $1 billion put into the next Marvel movie.
Right.
So, and don't get me wrong, Dune is going to become a franchise. They're probably going to do, well, they are going to do part two, and they might do an additional Dune movie. I'm not sure. That's the one exception.
Right.
Last Night in Soho, I'm interested in. I don't care if it makes $1 trillion or fucking two. It's still a non-franchise film that I want to see made.
Mm.
The French Dispatch, you know what? Let me just put it this way. Let me change the order. I just want to see the French Dispatch.
Okay.
I think it should be the French Dispatch, Dune, or I mean, not the French Dispatch. Last Night in Soho. I want Last Night in Soho first, Dune, then the French Dispatch.
Mm.
Um, I prefer Edgar Wright as a filmmaker over Wes Anderson.
Mm.
I think Wes Anderson is a little too in love with his like quaint cynicism.
Yeah.
Well, not cynicism. That's not fair. I think he's a little too in love with like his like quaint hijinksiness,
Yeah.
which isn't a problem. Every fucking filmmaker is in love with their own artistic style. Um, I just, oh God, watching Edgar Wright just do his fucking thing is so enjoyable on I don't know. It would be like comparing like two different kinds of crayons watching a Wes Anderson film and a Edgar Wright film. I just think Wes Anderson having like a pastel palette and being like ironically funny doesn't necessarily qualify him to be like an artist in that sense. Whereas watching something like Baby Driver and seeing all of the fucking amazing uh like just I don't even know how to explain watching a fucking Edgar Wright movie. It's fucking Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Scott Pilgrim versus the World is like the most hyper version of everything that he's good at.
Mm.
Like postmodern filmmaking, putting secrets and little Easter eggs in his work, foreshadowing, all of this in like the most surreal kind of way. He knows how to make filmmaking enjoyable and funny and like engaging to watch in a way that I've never seen anyone else film before.
Mm.
Um, and it's massively just appealing. I think I mean, like he's got enough clout behind him where it's like, oh, let me make this movie where it's like, you know, literally about an iPod wielding fucking getaway driver who just listens to music while he drives, and that shit slaps. Like everything about the opening scene to Baby Driver is fucking amazing. Like in terms of storytelling, in terms of music, in terms of how the beat of a diegetic song in the universe dictates like the movement of the actors, and not in like a stage 5, 6, 7, 8 kind of way, but just like that kind of quirkiness I like. Um, that's something I want to see. That's something I genuinely want to see. I don't care if it like absolutely blows. I don't care if I don't even necessarily care for it. I just want more non-franchise based works out there. I want way more of that.
Yeah.
Um, there are too many. God, I mean, yeah, I will say it. I think the market at the moment is oversaturated with superhero stuff. I love
Yeah.
superhero stuff, but I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it if there were more companies putting out more non-franchise based stuff. And that's a lot to ask for. I get it.
Mm.
But yeah, Last Night in Soho, Dune, French Dispatch. And I like Wes Anderson, don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
I think he has a very, very identifiable visual style, very identifiable visual language. Um, he understands how to write dysfunction really well,
Mhm.
in his own way. Uh, and I don't want to give the impression that I don't like Wes Anderson. I really do. I just don't always find how he makes his films particularly attractive. Um, and I can see that with some of his newer stuff as he gets more and more like pastel-y or pastelly. If that's even a word. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's my list.
fair enough. I like it. I think after you explaining what those films are, I'm more intrigued about Last Night in Soho.
Hmm.
Um, big Shaun of the Dead fan. So
Of course.
yeah.
And like fucking when they're playing Don't Stop Me Now by Queen and they're just
Oh
beating the
god, so
bartender
fucking good.
at the
Yes.
same beat, and it's like he sets up information,
Yeah.
and there's this great bit which the internet told me where it's like Ed literally describes the entire movie in like 10 seconds when he's trying to cheer up Sean,
Yeah.
where he's like, how about we, he's talking fast and he's saying all this fucking bullshit, but it's like that's quirky funny shit that like I like. And when you go to see At the World's End, which is I think the weakest of the three Cornetto films,
Mm-hmm.
but still really fucking good, that foreshadowing and that like clue imagery really works.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I may add
Mm-hmm.
an honorable mention,
Okay.
The Many Saints of Newark, I'd actually really like to see.
Mm.
Um, for anyone who isn't aware, that's actually a prequel to The Sopranos,
Oh.
one of the greatest fucking television series of all time. It follows Tony Soprano as I think as a high schooler who is getting his feet into the business.
Interesting. Okay. I've never seen Sopranos, so there's that.
Tony Soprano is one of the greatest villains in all of television.
Oh.
Like Walter White is a pretty fucking amazing character, and I will never doubt that. I think, in terms of like villains, he's one of my favorite characters.
Mm.
But there is something about watching James Gandolfini, the late great James Gandolfini, just play this guy who has an out like in every fucking episode. Not every episode, but like who essentially has so many outs, and he in just intuitively just doesn't take them because he's a shit human being. And how they write it out, like he's the perfect sociopath. It's amazing. It's amazing how fucking good it is and impressive it is to see this guy play Tony Soprano, and how impressive it is to see Tony Soprano like
Fair enough.
exist.
Yeah.
Anyway, Many Saints of Newark, excited to see as well. His son is playing him, by the way. James Gandolfini's son is playing Tony Soprano.
Oh wow. I think that's
Yeah,
really cool when that happens when uh like was it Straight Outta Compton?
yeah. When
Um
Mini Cube played
yeah.
Ice Cube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's really cool when that happens, right? It doesn't happen all the time, but I think it's still really cool when that opportunity happens, you know.
Oh yeah.
Um
I'm really interested in seeing how he does. Truly.
yeah,
So.
agreed. Um all right. Any ending notes, quotes? I'm trying to make this
Um.
segment at the very end if we need to rant on
Okay.
about something else, or like I want to bring up one thing. You reminded me. I forgot to bring up this past week. I'm going for trophies, right? So I was
Mm-hmm.
doing. So I go to my friend's house, and we're playing Resident Evil together. It's mainly me playing Resident Evil and him kind of guiding me and us kind of
Watching,
going
yeah.
through, yeah, watching, and he likes to see me squirm there with on the scary parts, so he enjoys it. Um, so we're playing. I'm going for the specific trophy where it's called CQB. So it's basically you can only use your knife. So you're
Okay.
running around playing Resident Evil, no guns, knife only. You have to beat bosses. You gotta try to avoid all the zombies, and it's a really hard trophy to get. And then and there's other tidbits. So like
You really like suffering, huh?
yeah, right. I like a challenge. Um, that's what I tell myself. So there's little so it says knife only, no guns, right? And it says there's other little tidbits in there as well that you can't do. So we're going through it, right? And I invest like good, 4 to 5 hours, right? I invested a good chunk of time playing, right? I'm like, all right, cool. I'm running around doing what I gotta do, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going. And so I'm going for 2 trophies. One for that, and the other one is I have to collect every item that's available in the game.
Why do you put yourself through this?
Again, I like a challenge. Which isn't that difficult. I just kind of go into a room, pick up all the items, and I put it in what is called the item box. And again, I'm running it on very easy, so it's not super difficult. It's just you have to follow the rules, and I messed up a couple times because there's a you're not so when there's a zombie on the floor and they start biting your cankles, um, you can stomp on their heads and kill them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in CQB, you can't do that. It's like, okay, so I luckily I haven't been able
Fuck.
to. And then also you're equipped with what is called a defensive item, and with a defensive item, if a zombie grabs you, you can either have it automatic or you have to press R2 to activate it, and basically so the zombie doesn't hurt you, you use the defensive item to get away, right? So
Okay.
you can't use that either. And I accidentally pressed the R2 kind of reflexes,
And then you
and
died.
and then no, and then I fucking used it. I'm like, okay, well, I have to restart because that destroyed the trophy. Like I can't go through this playthrough anymore. Um, so then I did that a couple times, and we got to this boss. Because or like I said before, I already played through it and I beat it, right? So I already know where the boss is at and what I gotta do. And so I got to this point, and then I was like, oh shit, like how am I supposed to beat this boss? Like I can't. I killed it with guns last time. Like how am I like? It's like on the ceiling of a wall. Like it's on the ceiling. I can't knife something that's on the ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I asked my friend, hey, can you look up to see what we got to do, right? And so he's doing his thing, and I'm like continuing the game, what I got to do, and then he's like, oh no, I'm like, oh, what happened? He's like, oh no, Harry, I'm so sorry. Like, wait, what's going on? He's like, did you read the description of the trophy? I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, dude, we read it together. He's like, you should probably reread it. And I look at it, and it says, no guns allowed. And the first thing that it says, those little tidbits I told you about, like you can't stomp on zombies, you can't use a defensive item.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the very beginning of that, it says no lighter. So let me describe to you what that means. So in Resident Evil, when you kill
You
a zombie,
fucking did it. You have to light them on fire.
so when you kill a zombie, without blowing their head off, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
kill them and they just fall on the ground and they still have their head, what they do is later on in the game they come back as what is called a crimson head. So they
Mm-hmm.
come back to life, and they're way faster and way stronger. Um, so what you do is you burn them. So you have to get kerosene, and you have to have a lighter, and you got to light them on fire, and then they won't come back later.
Right.
Um, and so when you go through it, there's a zombie right in front of the safe room. So we're like, fuck, okay, well let's kill it. And usually you kill it so you don't have to deal with it every single time. right? So you kill it, and then you set it on fire, and then you don't have to deal with it anymore, right? Um, and I did that.
Okay.
I actually did it twice.
You got all
Um,
that way for fucking nothing.
and
Oh
and
man.
so in Resident Evil, my friend told me that I have to make multiple save points because sometimes you fuck up and you want to restart, right? Like maybe
Hmm.
you mess up somewhere or something, and you're like, oh fuck, like I did this completely wrong, and you go back a few saves just to so you can do a better job, right?
Hmm.
Um, that was so far in the beginning of the game
Oh, buddy.
that like I so in the save slots, I think the max save slots you have because it's an older game is I think 8 to 10, right? I think there's like 8 or 9 slots if I remember correctly,
Hmm.
and so
10.
10. Let's just go, yeah, 10. There's 10 slots, and so I used them all up. I used them all up, and I went back around that I covered all the original ones. I went to the furthest spot, and I was way ahead from where I originally burned those bodies, and I was like, dude, I have to restart the game to to get that trophy because it was basically towards the beginning of the game.
Dude.
So I literally spent 4 to 5 hours playing
Just
and just,
enjoying the game with your friends, Harry.
yeah, just enjoying my time.
Dude, I am
And then,
so sorry.
but the thing is, like, I was purposely only using the knife because I thought, okay, this is the way to do it. And I was making myself more miserable going through this playthrough because I was forcing myself only to use a knife. And
Poor
yeah,
baby.
I forgot to bring that up because that happened and that sucked. But the
I'll
save
light a
file,
candle for you
yeah,
in the vigil.
the file isn't completely to waste because, like I said, I am going for that other trophy where I get all the items.
Hmm.
And then this is my first playthrough with that character, so when I beat it, I will also get trophies for beating it with that character. So
Oh, nice.
so it's not a dead
Not an
file.
entire loss. Yeah.
It's not an entire loss, but I
It's
kind of
still a backtrack.
it's still it's still me wasting a bunch of time knifing bosses.
Oh.
And yeah, but no, it's still good. It's still good. But that was the only thing that I had on my notes. For we gotta name our sections. I don't know what this will be, but I was thinking of like
Movie
ending.
reviews, closing statements, shooting the shit.
Mm, mm.
Come on, man.
It's like ending notes or something like that. I don't know. Like I'm literally writing stuff down on a notepad or on the notepad,
Hmm.
like things to bring up later. But
No worries. I can always find something to bring up next week.
this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything for you? Any ending
No,
notes? No?
no,
All right, good
no.
shit. Well, thanks for chatting it up with me, man.
Fuck yeah, always a pleasure. If you'd like to watch previous Hitting the Marks with Harry and Mark, or if you'd like to watch some of our hijinks, you can hit us up at hitting them. You can search Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark, or you can search a guy named Harry for some of these videos. If you want to see some of our content or what we'll be talking about on a regular basis, you can hit us up on Twitter. That's capital H, capital T, capital M underscore podcast, HTM underscore podcast. And if you'd like to send us feedback, you can hit us up at hittingthemark2020 at gmail.com. It was a pleasure. We'll talk to you guys again next week.
Bye bye.
Auf Wiedersehen, assholes.